Hello everyone, this is Jimmy Cultist, and today I'm going to make a little video for showing you how to make accessories for puppets and add them onto a sculpt. I've made a little head in advance, and I'm going to go ahead and add it to the puppet in just a little bit. I don't know who this character is. I guess I've decided to call him B.I. Joe, but he's just for demonstration purposes. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab a group of sculpted objects. I think I've got maybe 5 or 6 here, counting the teeth and the pupils and whatnot. Just grab them all and select them. Over here you can see how many are in a group. This thing will show you. It's a good way to know if you've gotten all of the sculpts you want. Also use Precise Move, you'll find it in guides. You can use it to pull it down just in case you missed a sculpt, and then reverse the process so you know what it is that you didn't select. I'm going to pull it over here. Use L1 plus X to scope in to the puppet. Get it on center. There we go. Let's see if we can get it exactly on center. Now that it's within the puppet's group, we can add it, but we gotta have it in the right position. There we go. We can just zoom in like that. Get it all grouped together. And now it's on the puppet's head. You might want to reduce the density of the objects so the puppet's head doesn't stretch out when he's jumping. So let's show you another method for creating simple accessories. It's quite easy. Just take out an object, go to Stamp Fleck, select the color first, then do Grid Snap real quick. Use the mirror tool and just stamp it out right here. Oh, something interesting to note is that when you're using the mirror tool, it faces whatever direction the camera is facing. So the orientation of it is based off your camera. So if I face this way, that'll be the center, and if I face that way, that'll be the center. Just keep that in mind. Now we're going to use this stretch tool to put this thing down a little bit, make a nice flat cylinder. Precise Move to put it in place. I'm going to make a little hat for him, like a stocking cap, I think they call it. Get it right on center. You don't always need to use the mirror tool. That's optional, depending on what you're trying to make. If you want something that's uneven, you definitely won't need the mirror tool. Just dupe out the sculpt. It's easy to get a frame of reference, even though we're going to be removing some things. Put it in place. Set it to blend. And I think that will just about do it. Just go ahead and turn off the mirror tool so we can have it sort of sticking off to the side of his head. Then we'll make another sculpt. For each section of the hat, we're going to need a sculpt. I intend to make it floppy after all, so it actually moves around when he moves. Now for a quick frame of reference, we'll just dupe out this sculpt and shrink it a little bit. It's pretty good for doing segmented things like tentacles and whatnot, although that's a subject for another video. And if you have the right amount of blend, you can just add on a little curl to the end of this. There we go. I think I'll add a ball joint. Yes, just connect them all here. We're going to want to recenter them, of course. so that the joints pivot at a certain point, and use X-ray mode to see where we want them to pivot. That's pretty good. Now we're going to select them all and use limits for them to keep them from flopping too much. Set the springiness on 50%. You want things to be floppy but not too floppy, otherwise they look really weird. And the limits keep it from going beyond the set angle that you prefer. It's nice and floppy, but we have to turn off the collidability. Just go in here, open up the tweak menu with square and L1, that's it. Square and L1, turn off collidability. Should be in the tweak menu. Gonna put it on his head now. But before you do anything, remember that if you have ball joints and you haven't grouped every single object, you only take one, even though they're attached, it'll detach them automatically to try to group them with something unless they're all, previously grouped. So you can select them all and then scope in that way, or you can just make them a group, like I'm about to do. There we go. Now, it should work perfectly. Yeah, it's nice and floppy. It's precisely the effect I was going for. I might add one final finishing touch, just a little decoration on the end of his hat. Little ball. That's nice. Now I'm going to show you another method for adding accessories to a puppet. All you have to do is just dupe out his already existing sculpt, like this. Where to start, though? With the torso? Maybe with the middle. That would be a good place. Just dupe it out. Use precise move. And if you want to differentiate between the two sculpts, just change the color of one sculpt. Could be the one you're making or the other one. And delete these, of course. I think I'll change the color of the original sculpt and make this slightly larger. Just get spray paint, make it a nice distinctive color. We're going to make it dark so that we can tell the difference. And we're going to add a little bit to this to make it into a proper accessory. I think I'm going to make it almost like a shirt tail or something. Of course, it's going to be kind of angular because he's a bit like a statue or something. I'm not really sure what this character is. Just stamp this out right here. Use the stretch tool to refit the cylinder. Almost like a belt. There we go. Pull that in. Sometimes you have to do the other side depending on where the mirror is orientated. Or oriented, as some people say. Go to the physics right here. Turn off movability, otherwise, when you press play, this thing is going to fall. I'll show you that in just a little bit. Alright, see what happens? Now turn off the movability, that way it won't happen. Pull it over here, and we're going to group it with the original sculpt. Of course, we're going to have to figure out a way to select the original sculpt. There's one way, which uses the camera. Since the camera can move through certain objects, you can just position it just right to see the original sculpt. But another easier method involves just moving it aside, grouping the two, scoping back in, and then moving it into place, like that. Handy dandy. And I think we're going to add another accessory in a little bit. Maybe we'll give him some sleeves. So just dupe out his arm, delete the other half. We're going to just Let's see, we'll resize it, I think. We'll just resize it, pull this up right here. And we'll make a little cut. It's easy to make a sleeve, just dupe out the arm. Doesn't get simpler than that. Now, of course, the complexity may go up depending on what kind of creation you're making, but this is a pretty good way to just instantly get something that fits the form of the puppet. What do you know? We've got a sleeve. It looks so natural. Turn off the movability, of course. Never forget that. And we're also going to have to live clone it. So just go to Tools and go to Live Clone. Check this on. You want that so that whatever detail you add to the limb will be mirrored on the other version we're about to copy out. And I think Precise Move is the best way to flip things. Let's see if we can find it here. I think it's in Guides. Yes, here we go. And you can flip things by just pressing L3 to flip them horizontally, or R3 to flip them vertically. It's a really simple process. Anyway, now that we're done with that, let's just get rid of that. And we'll go ahead and group these. It's pretty sweet. Now I think we might add some something to his legs. I think we'll make it like shorts, a pair of shorts, but for that I'm going to add some new features to the sculpt. I'm going to use cones to make splayed short legs, I suppose you call it. Pant legs, but for shorts. Just go ahead and do that. Really easy to get the orientation. It's also a good way of copying Media Molecule's guides for sculpts that they've already built into the previous puppet. I'm going to add a little hem, I guess you'd call it. For this fellow it's a bit weird because he's made out of pottery, but it's a hem, more or less. Then we're going to cut off the top of the cone. I suppose we might want to center it first, though, just to see how far the cut's going to have to go. And don't forget to turn off the movability, folks. Never forget about that part. Alright, let's just go ahead. Set a little bit of blend amount so that the cut's not too obtrusive. There we go. It's a nice cut right there. Of course, we're going to use Precise Move and Live Clone to dupe it out on the other side. You might also alterate the position a little bit. I think that works. Yes. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and check out our other content. Ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. And of course, if you wish to support us, there's a link in our description to our Coffee and Hour Up tab. In the meantime, this character will be remixable under the name B.I. Joe on Dreams if you want to mess around with them. And that's all for now. Goodbye.